Hey, Shalom. All praises unto Yahweh Bashim Shai. That all honesty, apostles of great millstone. Ownership brothers will be pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is gonna be a second video in my my series called Get Out. Okay, and in this edition, and like I had said, this all comes from all this information comes off the documentary Why Black Children Inherit Dust, and this featuring an example of Esau using his factories to poison. And we're going to use what they call in here black communities. I'm going to say Israelite communities because wherever you see the word black community, especially out there within America, that's where you're going to have Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites. And we know the Israelites live out there within the slum areas. But the thing with the slum areas, speaking on the business standpoint, slum areas have cheap real estate. Okay, and the thing with cheap real estate in slums is that it's very cheap to have a well replenished labor force in the area where you're gonna find a very cheap real estate. Okay, so you want to build up a hog farm, as we've got in this example, then it's going to be financially more viable to build it out there where you have predominantly Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, because that area is going to be very cheap for you to build your massive factory. Plus, you got a labor force, a slave labor force that's going to come and work in there from the surrounding areas that can work in very terrible conditions. Okay, but the angle and the premise of this video is going to show you that pretty much what this then does, these plants where Esau uses this he basically builds it for profit. And you ain't supposed to be farming pigs to eat. Okay, pigs have a role much like catfish. Okay, they break things back down that would rather be left. Okay, they are the Most High's vacuum cleaners. They're God's vacuum cleaners. You ain't supposed to be eating that. Okay, I don't care how well you cook it. All right, this is a poisonous food. Okay, and it's the Most High said it is unclean. Okay, he said it's unclean, and there's reason for that because it fulfills a role within the earth. All right, which is deemed as being filthy. It's defiled. Okay, so let's read this. It says, feces from hog farming is poisoning black communities in North Carolina. This is lagoons of pink sludge increases blood pressure, right? Impairs neural, behavioral, and pulmonary functions and causes cancer. And when you watch this documentary produced by the individual conspiracy dudes, you see the people speaking out there, man. They're all types of jacked up. And I always find it very interesting how Esau can have it to where you might live out there in some deprived neighborhood, but when you go out there into the jobs, his whole premise is that you're supposed to be on the same level as him, but he'll be the same one that's jacking up your community. And I hate to use that word community, but he's the one jacking up your nation, and he'll proudly, stoutfully look down on the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. That's why the scripture calls this man the accuser of our brethren, because he goes even further than that, and he looks down on us, all right, and prays with his witches, right, that the Most High should destroy the 12 tribes of Israel for all of this wickedness that the Israel has been committing. But he's the one that perpetuates it. He's the one that pushes it. Okay, that's why we call this man the devil. But as you can see, all of these things, this sludge that gets spewed out there into the neighboring areas. Okay, into the water system. Okay, into the air. Okay, into the ambient, and you can see it increases blood pressure. Okay, it definitely impairs behavioral, because you know when they cleaning these animals and all of that, or if one dies, then all of that poison goes out there into the surrounding air, and you go through a lot more air, right, than you do water, than you do anything else. Okay, if you go via what's known as mass volume, okay, something like that, a mass airflow, okay, then you find that you breathe a lot more air per liter, okay, than anything else, because you're always constantly breathing. So if you got poison around you like this, and we know Esau's got all types of different poisons out there, the barium oxide and chemtrails, etc., etc., all of these things that he's built to attack us. But when he wants to make a profit at the end of the day of it, he's gonna put these hog farms and these factories. And I've seen that out there within, you know, areas of West Africa where he's found a nice cheap slave labor force out there. He's put them Negroes out there, them Jakes out there in slavery to make jeans, man. Okay, so that they could buy cheap jeans out there here within the so-called Western world. All right, like as if to say there's no other way to do it. Okay, but we understand this from a scriptural perspective, in that the Most High has this man to be the devil. Okay, this man to be the one that was going to be continually whipping these nations into subjection. Ergo, when his destruction comes about, we're going to be rejoicing, man. Okay, so you can read some of this yourself. All right, it says here there are estimated 10 million pigs in North Carolina's pig farming industry. Together, they produce waste equivalents of 100 million humans. Okay, so the waste products, all that, the chemical washing, you know, the waste that comes out the backside, all these different things. The worst septic infrastructure doesn't exist at pig factories to properly handle the massive amounts of waste produced daily. So you have what's known as human waste treatment. Okay, you flush the toilet, you know, the water gets down, it gets treated, even though it gets treated unrighteously with the chlorine and all of that. You ain't supposed to be drinking them kind of heavy metals or all of that. That's poison. But even that kind of reduces the diseases that you're gonna get from feces and all of that, from because a lot of people they don't realize when this martial law comes about and this hell comes about, the simple thing of going to the toilet, all right, and having human feces around you, it's gonna become a very big problem. That's how you see all types of malaria and all of that. Okay, running rampant out there in the so-called developing countries. Okay, so that's what they're saying is coming off of these pigs and that, and they got them out there within them 90%, 95% Negro neighborhoods. Okay, because you go out there into Carolina, all right, it's nothing but Jakes up in that area. Okay, and they're destroying the Jakes around them, and they're doing it for profit. Okay, so they can make these, you know, cheap meat. The irony is this: it will be the same Israelites, the same black community, as they put it. They'll be going out to buy that pig meat, man. It'll be the same individual. So we know that this is a judgment that the Most High has put us in the worst living conditions that is possibly imaginable, to where even the living conditions that you're in causes cancer, neurobehavioral, and pulmonary functions, high blood pressure, all of these kind of things. But at the end of the day, we went off of the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. So in turning back onto the Lord now, we ought to follow the Lord, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability, but knowing that the Lord, through the righteousness that he's going to impart upon us, is going to have mercy upon us to his own goodwill. Okay, not of works. So what I'm going to say, double honesty, apostles of great millstone. Honestly, brothers, to be pushing this truth in sincerity. And Yahba Shemiah Shai Ratazah. I'll see you on the next one. Shalom.